Hey guys, once again, it's Louis here from Hop Auctions. We've got an interview today with Jeff Sheppard from the South Coast, another great flyer. G'day, Jeff. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks, Lou. How are you?
Oh, happy to be here. Happy to be here.
I'm glad to see you. It's good to see someone doing something for the sport, which is great. First of all, I'd like to talk about my loft.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
And
loft.
you can see where the sun is. So we're getting into April, end of April now, and I've still got the sun high and the sun's coming down on the floor of my loft, which helps to keep, kills a lot of germs, bacteria and everything else. So it's only a small overhead. And I've got the blinds here in the wintertime, the middle of wintertime, where I drop them down. So I try and keep the heat in the loft as much as I can.
So you're serious about health?
Very serious. It's the most important thing. Your birds are not healthy, you can't win, obviously, I change the water. I change the water twice a day. At the moment, they're only getting fed once a day, but I will increase that to twice a day later on.
Right. But, once is that after you start tossing or during racing?
Yeah, after I start tossing, when we start, because I want my birds to hit peak form at 200 mile.
Right.
That's where all the money races is, where all the combine races are. I'm not worried about the first 80 kilometre race or 150 kilometre race. They're only trap and race to me, even though they've got to be under control. But the main ones for me is when we get up the road a little bit further.
Okay. So have a look inside.
Have a look inside. I do use fantails for trapping. Some of the I try and keep them as quiet as I can. But
a well-rested bird wins races.
That's exactly right. When you talk about rested as well, I wouldn't normally come in to the loft this time of the day. I want them sitting there relaxing. So they'll do their training in the morning, and then during the day, a lot of flyers when they retire, they go in the loft and they're in there all the time. And what they're doing is they're not letting the birds rest. So they've got to rest.
Can't pester them all day.
No, that's exactly right.
No matter how much you love them.
No, yeah, yeah, that's right. So what I do, look at the wing, is I do like the step, from the primaries to the secondary ones, to be around about half an inch there.
Yeah, that's great.
The hens, I don't like the last 3 or 4 to be too wide. That's probably maximum on the width on a good 400 mile pigeon. You only want them to be fairly narrow. You don't. Our old Aussie bird used to be a lot wider in the flight, but they would keep up and go for a long time. But then if you come up underneath the wing, they haven't moulded back out properly. But these 4 little flights here, and here she hasn't cut them off yet, but they should come off square and roughly the same. That little one there.
What do you mean by she hasn't cut them off them yet?
Yeah, they get a little fine line along it, and then it drops off square.
We might just step back into the shade a little, Jeff. We're just casting a bit of shadow there.
I'll just grab another one.
That
might be through the mould a bit better on that one.
Look at that, guys. All of Jeff's birds are absolutely gleaming in here.
Yeah, and the loft's not overly hot and either. It's just nice and warm, just a nice temperature. As you can see, they are moulding a little bit, which is, well, they're just about through the moult, but they've still got the wing flights to drop.
Yep.
Probably out of the sun a little bit better there.
That's better.
Yeah. See those last 4 there?
Yep.
You like them to be in a line.
Yep.
And these other ones underneath are very important too. I think Peter says that as well.
Yes, he does. He does.
And then when you go to their beak, the beak's got to be nice and white. Their throat is clear. There's no mucus or anything in the throat.
Are you into eyesight or anything like that, Jeff?
I've got glasses and I study it, and I do like to see a good a good eye.
A good
I
eye.
don't know whether
Yeah, we can.
there's 4 things that I look for in the eye.
Yep.
In the pupil itself, we'll go to the pupil first. There's a little grey circle inside the pupil, and I like to see that in a stock vision. And then you'll come out into the iris, and you'll see that the circle of adoption, what they call adoption. And then you'll go to the outside of the eye, the very outside there should be the same colour as what the adoption is inside around the pupil.
Right.
It's only fine. It's not as wide as what the other ones, but you will see the same.
And you can
So-
tell whether it's a breeder or a racer by the eye sign?
More, I like to think I can, but you know, probably 2 of my best old stock cocks have got that wide circle inside the pupil.
Yep. So it's based off your personal experience.
That's right. And you don't hear many people talk about the pupil. Wouldn't hardly see it. I think Steve did mention it to me one time when Bob Appleby's the producer.
Yep.
Steve said he had the best circle in the pupil that he'd ever seen. So,
Okay, Jeff, so can you tell us how you first got started into pigeons?
yeah, well, my neighbour next door, Donnie Tweddle, he was whatever the Tweddles used to do, we would do, you know, playing soccer, playing cricket in the backyard, whatever. And then Donnie got pigeons off Sneds and Morris that used to live just down the road from us. The famous Sneds and Morris with the £2.10 pigeons. And yeah, so I pestered my dad to build me a little loft. And he said to me, he didn't want me to have them because he had them when he was 18. He used to just live across the road then. And he never had a clock. He used to have to run down and clock in at Ned's and Morris's clock. In those days, not everybody had a pigeon clock. But anyway, he said, yeah, okay. He said, I can see you're keen. So he built me a lovely little loft. I'm still in the same block that I'm in now. But yeah.
It's a winning location.
Winning location. So we went from there. And my brother was keen as well.
Yep.
And yeah, and then I was still involved with soccer. So I had a lot of help from Dad and my brother.
Yeah, so it became a family thing.
Yeah, we had a family thing going in the end. Yeah, I'd be going.
Okay, Jeff, and if you can tell us something about the type of birds you fly, what's the base of your family?
The base is the Van Loons from Johnny Swan, which is Norm A, and John Swan. And then I've got pigeons off Donnie Tweddle, which crosses in with mine. They're all good long distance pigeons. Donnie won the Tassie race and all the long distance pigeons. Beautiful pearl-eyed pigeons. A lot of my Van Loons at the time had the yellow eye, and then Donnie's had the beautiful big pearly eye. So crossing those two in together, and
so you cross the Van Loon into what family?
Well, what we call the Tweddle family, which was had a bit of Ned's and Morris, the old £2.10. There was a national winner, and there was a mealy cock brought in that Donnie used to mate from Ray Watson. And it was a red-pied hen that he crossed with Ray's mealy cock. And I end up getting a grandson out of that pair, and he's crossed them in with the Van Loons. And then later on, I started getting the Stefan Reeds.
Oh, yeah.
And the Stefan Reeds have been terrific for me as well.
Right.
You know, around the 300-mile mark, they're terrific crossed in. And then I had the Smoulders as well. So the Smoulders, the Stefan Reed, the Van Loons and the Tweddles are my main.
Right. And all blended into a performance family.
That's
and
right.
Speaking of performance, Jeff, there's an international record for you as well as a great Australian record and a one Loft record.
Yeah, one Loft record, yeah.
So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
We had a bit of a syndicate going with the Second Asian Pacific, and we wanted to go over there and test our pigeons with them. And Kevin Pearson, Ian Matthews and myself formed the syndicate, and they wanted 4 of my pigeons to send over. So we sent them all over as babies. And,
in Thailand?
In Thailand.
Yeah, and what year?
In 1998, I think. I'll have to have a look at my trophy. Yeah, and then, so we went over there. There was a whole heap of us went over, actually. And the pigeon loft was on top of the Man Am Hotel. And boys, as soon as Pigeon done a drop, and it'd be scraped up. And anyway, come the race of the day before the race, we went down and watched them basket the birds. The truck had no sides, even the cab had no doors. Away they went about, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They drove 400 miles.
Yep.
They rested and let the birds out the next morning. No food, no water. Let them go, and then they had to make their way home from 400 miles.
And what was your result?
And my result was second. What did I get? 22, 33rd, and 66th, with me 3 out of the 4 that I had actually sent over there.
Yeah, and this is against some of the world's best pigeons.
Yeah, the world's best. Yeah, they were all on the balcony. Unfortunately, there was photographers, there was cameras going off all over the place, and anyway,
and these are Van Loon based pigeons. Speaking of Van Loons, guys, sign up to hopauctions.com. We have some great Van Loons down from the Planet Brothers, from Paul Gibbs, coming up on the site. As you can hear from Jeff, Van Loons do really well in Australia. So, yep, sign up to Hop Auctions. Sorry, Jeff, if we can go back to where we were with your international record in Thailand. You came 22nd.
Yeah, 33rd and 66th. Yeah,
yeah.
It was a great achievement for us.
And what about your record here in One Loft racing in Australia?
Well, I go in partnerships with Peter Clark.
Yeah.
And the first One Loft race last year, I got second with I put a family one in as well with Peter.
Yep.
And he puts a family one in as well as his name as well. So Sheppard family and then Sheppard and Clark fly together.
Right.
So over the last couple of years, we've done very well. The first race, I got second with the Sheppard family, and Pete got third with the Clark family. So
yeah.
So we've done well. And then Pete got the next race, he got third again with the same pigeon. It was a very good race. And then I ended up getting with one hen that I'll probably put in the Australian. They're raising money for the East Coast Classic.
Yep.
A hen she took 3 prizes in the top 30 out of the 5 races, and she'll go into that auction side.
And Jeff, here in club racing, you've won the national. You've won. What haven't you won? Is also the question down here.
No, I've won them all actually. I've won them all 3 or 4 times.
Guys, Jeff's one of those flyers that's in the top 5, probably for the last 20 years of racing, if not longer.
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah.
Jeff, now if we can sort of get into talking a bit about the pigeons. So when do you like to start breeding your birds?
I'm a bit later than everybody else.
Yeah.
I like to see the performance of pigeons. As I said, I like pigeons to start winning at 200 mile. That's where I concentrate on. So I don't breed early because I want to see the results of those pigeons that are doing 300, 350 mile. Even to the national, the weekend before the national is when I actually pair up, because then I know how many pigeons have gone.
Yeah.
If I made up early in the year and halfway through the season, I don't know how they're going to go. I made up on performance wise.
Yep. So you're mating only off your best birds.
Off my best birds. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Okay, that's great. And so how when it comes to weaning, how old do you like to start weaning the birds over?
25 days.
25 days.
Around the 25 days. As soon as they're covered under the wing, and they look as though the stock loft, if they're starting to go up onto the perch in there.
And do you cull any in the nest if they don't look good?
I do. Yeah. If they don't come up to a good standard, then they're never going to make it. You might as well just nut them on the head then.
Yeah. Yep. You stop them from bringing down the rest of the team.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Luckily, in the last few years, the breeding seasons have been terrific. We used to have a lot of canker problems years ago with young'uns in the nest, but for whatever reason now that's all gone, which is really good.
Yeah. Do you put anything in the water for them?
No, I don't actually. When I try and not medicate, and even when I've brought them over for a month, I try and just let them bring their own immunity up, and and then I've only just now, we're a month out of racing, and I've only just done them for canker and coxswain.
Right. And when you bring the youngsters over, do you keep them separate to the other birds and feed them small seeds or big seeds, or you don't do anything special?
I don't do anything special. No.
You mix them together?
I keep my old ones separate, 2-year-olds,
Yep.
from my youngins. So then I keep all my first round. Second round are kept separate as well.
Right.
I put marking rings on the first and second round.
Okay. And Jeff, when do you decide that it's time to start putting the birds into training?
When I can see they're coming through the molt and they're not, at the moment, I've had them too fat. I've overfed them a little bit. So now I'm flagging them a bit to try and get the fat out of them. Right. But next week, what are we now? A month out of racing, and I'll probably start tossing next week. Just short tosses.
Right, and speaking of tossing, how far would your first toss be?
Mine'll only be 2 kilometres.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to probably 7 kilometres. I'll do a couple of 2 kilometres.
Yep.
And then I'll go to 7 kilometres. And that's about as far as I go.
Yep, that's it.
I'll toss with the fed.
Yep.
But during the racing season, I'll let the hens out first at daylight. They'll shoot out straight out to a nooner, train with the nooner boys, and then they'll come back after 40 minutes, 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
So you fly your cocks and hens separately?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you keep them separate the whole season?
The whole season. Once I can work out which is the cocks as babies and hens, then I separate them. The reason I do that is because I like them to get their own perch. Right. So the cocks have got their own perch now. Most of them are pretty well set on their own, and so are the hens. And as I said, I concentrate on the 200-mile mark. I don't want to be separating my pigeons at 200 or 250 mile and unsettling them. They've got their own perch in there. So why would I change all of a sudden, upset the whole loft when they're all content?
Yep. You want them to come home, be nice and happy, find their perch, and not have to fight.
Because we don't fly to wood, do they fly to the perch? They fly to me and the perch.
Yeah, there you go. That's very interesting. It's a little bit different from others, but it seems to be working for you. Yeah, and so if you can run us through it, the birds come home from racing, and what do they get, Jeff, when they get home from a race?
They only get light seed. They'll get wheat, milo, canary seed or budgie mix, and they'll get honey in the water. Honey in the water. And do you make your own mix, or you buy like a JM or something or other? Well, sometimes, depending on the year, sometimes I'll just buy JM and add wheat to it, or then later on add corn to it. But JM mix 5% hasn't got barley, so I might have to add barley to it. Right. And so you feed them light when they get home? I feed them light when they get home, yeah. I know Dave-O and that put a little bit of corn with it. Mm-hmm. So I probably will add a little bit of corn, but not very much. Okay, because a lot of people like to go from when they come home, give them something heavy and then sort of give them something light as the week progresses. But it's a little bit different here with Jeff. So what about on Sunday and Monday, still the same feed? No, Sunday, Monday they'll go to their normal mix. Yep. But they'll get spinach. I only hang the spinach on a rat trap that I've got on the side there, and they love it. I mean, I feed them spinach from when they're babies as well. You know, in the nest, every day I feed them spinach when they're growing. I could put a couple of spinach in there, and that's gone in an hour. They just love eating spinach. But in the water, on the feed on the Sunday, I'll mix a bit of garlic up, lemon, apple cider vinegar. Yep. So and then I'll get that I'll put that in my food, not in the water. I'll put it on the food, so it's just a little bit moist, and then I'll add the brewer's yeast to it, or the pink powdery stuff, whatever. Right. So you don't do any medication in the water? They come home. No. You don't believe in medication? No. Well, if they need it, if I'm not flying very well, then I might have to look at putting, just a booster in the water. Yeah, maybe something for some canker or respiratory. Yeah. Well, I used to give them once a month, 3 drinks. That was old Davo's recipe, was 3 drinks for canker, Emtral.
Hmm.
So it's when I say 3 drinks, that's the morning, afternoon, and the next morning, Monday morning.
So
But
3 doses.
So 3 drinks. But I've sort of gone away from that the last couple of years, and I haven't been giving them anything.
So you go for more of a natural approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the honey when I get home, and then the next day, with that other garlic and that, there's a couple of spoonfuls of honey mixed in with that as well.
Right. So that's interesting, Jeff. So you separate the birds from early on in the season. I'm sort of very, very interested to hear that. So anyway, Jeff, when you get a bird and it's
Don't forget that's the reason for that is there's a reason for everything
Sure.
that you do, and the reason is because they get their own perch. As you can see now, they've had that perch for a month already. All these birds.
And so, what do you look for in a good race bird, Jeff? Do you want to see it win more than once, or?
Oh, ideally, with your family of pigeons, they've got to be consistent. You know, if you can drop 4 or 5 together, you know, and then the following week, those 4 and 5 on the shorter ones will go back the following week. Otherwise, they'll just go every second week or third week
Yep.
third week.
And you'd send them 3 weeks in a row if they had to.
Yes, if they're performing, you know, it's a bit like they're on form. So yeah, so you send them while they're on form.
Yeah, of course. And what do you look for when it comes time for form in a pigeon?
Oh, that scale underneath.
Yeah.
It's got to be clear. As I said before, the feet nice and warm, the eyes nice and bright. There's no second eyelid. You know, there's no watery. That's nice and dry in the eye.
Yep. So that you don't look for sort of performance based. You see it coming up in the ranks, or
well, sorry, yes, of course I do. Of course, I keep a record.
Yep.
And I always have done, even before electronics. I always wrote down how the birds come in order.
Yep.
So then I'll go back the following week and have a look to see. And that's how I pick me combine birds as well.
Yeah, so that's the process. There's a lot of observation happening here, isn't there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You've got to
keep a good record of all your birds, how they come.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting, Jeff. Very interesting. Because you certainly have a great record here with winning races on the South Coast.
Probably I've probably won more sale races as well than anybody else on the South Coast.
Yeah.
Over the years, you know, 3 Shaker Tails and Lake Sale wins and Albion Park sales. Yeah, I've been very lucky.
We were chatting with Jeff earlier. Back in the day when he was a lot younger, they used to win enough money to buy a block of land racing pigeons.
Yeah, 13,000 one year when I won, and a couple of trips. A couple of TVs as well, actually, over the years.
So it'd be great to see that kind of money come back into the sport.
Well, it would be. You know, we were lucky the last couple of years with Shelley's. They had the $50 ring race one, and then Taraji Premier Stakes have kept that going for the last 20 odd years, thanks to Don Mortallone mainly and Taraji Pigeon Club. I've been lucky enough to win that 3 or 4 times, and last year, of course, I won that again, and then and got 3rd in the $50 ringer, and yeah, so I probably picked up. They tell me I probably would have won about 20 grand last year.
And so, just to ask you, Jeff, would you bring in any crosses into your family?
I'm always looking for something. Actually, this year I brought in Herman Coisters. I bought a team from actually John Fawkes.
Oh, okay.
Just to see how they went, and I bought a couple of individual ones.
And would you ever put a bird? Okay, go on. The individual bird.
Yeah, I bought 2 individual ones. Stefan Reed and Herman Coister cock, very nice, beautiful, out of his best ones. The other race team, I'll be going on their performance this year to see whether they're any good or not.
Whether they click with the family or not.
That's right.
Yeah, very interesting. If we can just go back to sort of feeding, which we sort of left, we went off on a tangent. So the birds, you know, we're on a Monday, we're back onto, you said, your usual feed. What would the usual feed consist of? Yeah,
well, let's say there's 3 wheat, there's 3 barley, there's 1 corn, 1 peas, half a safflower, a couple of handfuls of linseed. All that goes into into my mix, 1 miler. I don't know whether I said miler.
Yes, you did.
So it's virtually, and then as we get to the 200 mile mark, where I want to start improving, they'll go off the barley. So then I'll increase the corn.
Right.
So the corn will replace the barley. So it's fairly heavy in corn then as well.
So is that once we start Thursday night basketing?
Virtually when we start Thursday night basketing. That's right.
Right. So he starts up in the corn for the longer races.
But yes, definitely.
Yeah. You don't up the fats. Some people believe in fats.
It's only the couple of handfuls of the linseed.
Right.
Which is I've always fed a couple of handfuls of linseed in with the food. So it's a nice oily food to give them a bit of bloom and keep the bloom on them as well.
Right. And Jeff, do you hold the birds back at all for sale races? If it's sort of going good, you're looking and think, oh, I might hold you for the next couple of weeks, or you send them?
No, they'll still go on their routine because I like to see the sale birds coming up. You know, say from the 50-mile mark right through up to the sale mark, because that's when they start to build up their fitness as well. If you hold them back, they might have come up, and then you hold them back for 3 weeks for a special sale race. They might have gone off that week rather than keep them going and building there, because every couple of weeks we go an extra 80 kilometres in our race program. So I like them to build up in all those races. So I like them all to go away to at least one race point.
Yeah. Yeah. So you keep them going, basically.
Keep them going.
Yeah. No rest here at Jeff's Loft.
No rest.
Yeah. If you're resting, you're gone.
Yeah. It's not every week. It's every second week or every second week on an average. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I've got a couple that are coming up, they'll double back. I'll send them back the following week as well.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so when it comes to training, we touched on it a little bit, but when my birds go out, after they've done their 40 minutes, then they've got to come straight in. As soon as I take that flag away, wave the fantail, they're in. And there's only 2 handfuls with food in the trays. So they'll go straight in through the bobs, and then I'll at the front there, I've got I can basket them straight up.
Yep.
Where I lift this up, and I put the basket in front, and I run them straight into the basket after they've only had very small amount of food.
Yep. So minimal handling.
And then I'll take them out to bulleye.
Yep. So, and just to recap, how many tosses do you like to do, Jeff?
Well, twice a week.
Let's say
Tuesday and Thursday. They'll do that little sprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I used to play soccer. We'd train, then we'd have a game, and then at the finish of it, we'd have short little sprints. And I work a lot of my birds out on how I used to train and keep myself fit.
Yeah.
So that short little sprint they'd go up, and it teaches them to break as well. They know that routine. They don't have to go 50 mile. It's only that last 5 or 6 kilometres where I get their head switched on. So they're breaking 3 kilometres from the mob coming at me.
And would you toss during the race season at all?
Yes. That'll go right through until probably September, where I might ease off then. So it's a lot of work.
So that's once a week or more often?
Twice a week.
Yeah,
twice a week, and then if there's a fed toss on, they'll go on the fed toss as well.
Yeah.
But it's control, and I know if I can call them out of the sky straight away, run them into that basket, that I'll take them. My wife will be sitting here with a fantail, and I'll say, did they go straight in or did they do one circle? If they do one circle, I'm not happy. They've got to dive straight in.
Jeff, I need you to come to my place, mate. My birds are doing more than one circle, but I have lost many of a race because of this. Because
years ago, when we had a lot of good flyers around me, there was 5 flyers around me: Tweddle, Ned Morris, his brother Claude, Jack. There was heap. And if they'd done one circle, that's 7 seconds. That's the difference between me winning and coming last in our club when we used to have 40 members in Taraji in those days.
Guys, if you see the results here on the South Coast, you will see it's literally a second between sometimes first and 20th fed.
Oh, exactly.
Jeff, for some of us who struggle with trapping, can you tell us how you get the birds to do less than half a circle before they come in? Is there a process to this?
It's all food. It's all the amount of food.
Right.
Not so much the corns or the peas or whatever. It's how you feed them. It's an art in that, and let's say it's 1.25 ounces.
Right.
where I've got them completely under control. When we get to the September or the bit longer ones, then they'll get as much as they want. But they've still got to be under control. Well, they're already brainwashed by then. So they know exactly what the routine is.
So what do you mean by brainwashed, if you can explain that?
Oh, yes. That's that process of tossing them, short toss, bang, in the loft. From when they're babies, when I call them in, they don't come in, they get locked out.
Right.
What Dave used to call the brainwashing theory.
And does that include cutting down the feed gradually over that brainwashing period?
Well, that's right. If they're not doing the right thing, naturally through the molt, I don't do it because I like them to get a little bit too fat, what they are now. Mm. And to have a good molt is very important to me. But once they do that, in another 2 weeks, then they'll get the brainwashing will be coming into effect.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was an old saying, old flyer said to me once, trap for show, trap for dough. There's two different things. Or fly for show and trap for dough.
I like it. I like it.
And when I clean out, when the birds go out, I clean out straight away. So that's cleaned out every day. So when they come in, it's nice. Everything's nice and clean.
Yeah, well, I'm picking up a sense here from you, Jeff. It's about quality and health.
Yeah.
That's what helps win races. Not so much the food, but the quality of the birds and the health.
That's right.
I mean, you open with the sunlight. You're like, and the sunlight kills all sort of diseases and germs.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And the birds certainly look great in here, guys. They're beautiful birds. Don't forget, if you like what you see here, guys, sign up to Hop Auctions. We'll have some great birds coming up. We have a team that actually beat Jeff last year in the Young Bird Derby down off Paul Gibbs's Van Loon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't often happen, but, you know, the quality of birds that are coming up are the type that can beat some of the best birds in the country, if not the world.
Mm.
Yes. It's not a joke, guys. We have great pigeons here in Australia. As Jeff demonstrated, 22nd. I mean, yeah. How many pigeons were there in
I think
Thailand?
it was about 700 or 800 pigeons that went away for the actual race. So
yeah.
I don't know exactly how many they had.
And that was the early days before the Europeans sold all their best birds to the Chinese.
Well, that's right. You know, and the Europeans were there as well because the first two pigeons landed just on dark and the cameras were going off everywhere. And one guy got up and one pigeon went in, the other pigeon landed on the balcony. And one guy went to get up to grab the pigeon and I grabbed him. I said, no, that pigeon's got to go into the loft. So then there was a big committee meeting about whether the pigeon should stay there or not. And I think the bloke was Van Bremen, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
So
it's alleged. It's alleged.
So in the end, the committee decided no, that pigeon had to go into the loft.
Yeah.
I was glad.
Trap on its own.
I was glad that it went in first light. So
yeah,
it did.
And that seems to be one of the standing rules now in one loft races. No assistance for the trap in. They've got to go in on themselves.
That's right. With their feet, I like to see them nice and clean and warm. Their feet, if they're cold, there's something wrong. Feet have got to be warm.
So it's good circulation.
It's a good circulation. Yep. That's right. That's right. And then of course underneath, she's scaled because they're not in good nick at the moment. But she's got too much scale, you know. So when she comes in nick, she'll be nice and pink. There'll be no scale there at all.
And have you heard of the dot theory that some of them get the red dot?
We used to when we're pooling our pigeons, we all used to look for the dot that used to go up and down. But yeah, no, I don't look at it anymore.
Yeah. All right, no worries. And oh, look at that. She's a beauty.
Mm.
Okay.
She's actually the same way bred as the mother of your pigeon you've got there.
Yeah, guys, I was lucky enough to get a bird out of the sale of Jeff's. So hopefully we're splitting some money at the end of the year.
She's a good end. She's down the stock loft, the mother, obviously.
Okay, now Jeff's brought us down to see some of his stock birds as well. He's going to show us through some of his champions.
What
we got here, Jeff?
This is actually a young hen that I am trying. It's down out of Peter Clark's pigeons. And a good hen of mine. So I'll just see how she goes.
It's her first year in stock?
Second year. But I only took a pair off her and I thought I would give her another try.
And so you lock them up, you do individual breeding, individual pens?
Yeah, It's not the right one.
Not the right one.
No.
And how many pairs of stock birds do you like to keep, Jeff?
Well, I've got 24 boxes, and I've got those 2 individual ones there, so there's 26, and there's a few too many in here at the moment.
And do you let any of the race birds breed inside the racing loft?
I do pair a couple of pair up at the end of the season. Yeah, in the use the 2 N ones before I bring the young ones over.
And from all your years of racing, what do you reckon works better, love matings or forced matings?
I always force matings. Yeah, I always, you know, they're locked up. You know, it's a process of letting them out. When I first made them all together, I try and keep the same cocks in the same boxes, and then if I'm changing a hen, well, you know, then it's letting one box out, then I let the next close out, then let the next box out. So it's a little bit of time consuming. You know, 10 minutes or whatever. Go out and have a drink, let them fly back into their own box. But I try and keep the same pair in the same ones if I can. You know?
And this is to make sure that nobody gets into the wrong nest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This. Oh yeah. I mean, I'd love to have individual ones where, you know, you don't get broken eggs or anything.
You had something on your shoulder, got rid of it.
Oh, this is a lovely hen. She's getting on now, unfortunately, but she won 3 races. This hen, she's a Van Loon Smalders cross.
Right. And what she produced for you?
She's produced so many good pigeons. She's the grandmother of your pigeon that you've got down there at the moment.
Okay.
Troji Premier Stakes, Troji Sale pigeons. She's bred them all. She's bred that many good pigeons.
Yeah. And these are the money races, the
and these are
the
money
5
races.
to 600 kilometre mark.
That's right. Yeah. That's it's a shame she's on that in flight. But I was just looking for my national winner actually.
And Jeff, what kind of a bird do you like to send to a one loft race? Do you think it's a bigger bird, a smaller bird, medium-sized bird, in your opinion?
No, a medium-sized bird. And I don't care whether it's a cock or a hen. If the performance is there for them. The cocks at 300 mile are race just as good as the hens.
Right.
For me, anyway. Yeah. But overall, probably around the 400 mile mark or 350 on an average, a hen's better than what the cocks are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there it is. So you like a smaller type of bird to send to these races?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. A medium, let's say a medium pigeon. There's
Do you have any Aussie long distance birds? Yeah, you do. That was in the base of it, the twiddle.
With the twiddle and Ned's and Morris family of pigeons.
And you said they were red pieds?
They had the reds in them. Unfortunately, I've sort of lost a lot of the reds out of them at the moment.
Yeah, don't get any throwbacks?
No, I haven't got any reds in here now at all. And unfortunately, they're all blues or checkers. This is a Slatey hen, which is down out of Davo's Stefan Reed. I bought the father of this one at Davo's sale, and I bought the mother, of this one, and her sister won 350 mile, and she was clocked in at 350 mile as well. So her and her sister.
Yeah. But again, guys, with all these good flyers like Peter and Jeff, they're breeding off the same type of bird, the same family, and they're keeping the family.
Yeah.
And only breeding good crosses when they need to.
Yes, that's right. You know. Yeah. I just
looking for someone else, someone special.
Looking for me national winner.
And I see that's a young bird. She's bred for stock. Is she the pot?
Yeah, there's 2 sisters there. That one and that one. This is out of the hen that I took 3 prizes in the Adelaide race this year in the top 33. Mm-hmm. And Peter's cock, the one he got 2/3 with, the one that got 3rd to mine, and then the following week is the father of those 2. So I'm going to try and.
So what kind of a mating do they come from? Are they unrelated mating? Just
they're unrelated. They're unrelated with Peter's. Yep. They probably got across the Peter's Van Loon in them, but yeah.
Those Van Loons keep coming up.
Yeah, the Van Loons keep coming. This is probably.
So make sure, guys, you sign up to Hop Auctions to get your chance to score one of the Van Looms from Paul Gibbs.
Yep. So this is a cousin to the hen that won the 3 races. She's bred that many good pigeons as well. if we can get a look at that eye on this pigeon in the right spot.
Yep, let's try and get that eye. There we go.
You got it in the sun?
Yeah, she's beautiful. So that's what you look for, Jeff, the eye sign.
Yeah, the eye sign. I do. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't go by it 100%, but I think there's a combination of everything. There's the quality of the feather, the wing, the makeup. You can't see what's in the brain of the pigeon,
No.
but you can see she's a lovely big-headed hen.
And what about, I've heard with the eye sign, some people, you don't pair up same colour eyes. Is that correct?
That is correct. It doesn't matter, to be honest, but I do like to see if I can, when I'm looking at mating them up, I might take me 3 or 4 weeks writing pairs down, having a look at the record, see which ones I think will go the best. And if one's got a red eye, an orange eye, and the other one's got a pearl eye, well and good. I like to see it. It'll keep the strength in the eye. But if she goes to a pearl-eyed cock anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter with her. She's
a beautiful looking bird, and
she's getting on now too. She's 10-year-old now as well. I had to cut the ring off her. Her foot got that big. I had to cut the ring off her.
Is she Steph Van Reet?
She's Steph Van Reet.
Yeah, they are a larger bird.
Smallers and Tweddle. So she's and Van Loon. She's got all the crosses actually.
But all the crosses are performance.
Yeah, performance. Yeah.
So really, we can call them shepherd birds now.
Well, you could say that. Yeah.
It's one thing I've always sort of fought with racing pigeons. Here in Australia, we are sort of obsessed with pedigree and pure.
Yeah.
But you go to all these winning lofts, and they're not worried about buying pure or anything. They just want the performance bird to the performance bird.
That's right. I don't believe that there's any pure of anything unless you make full brother and sister together, probably. But is that a pure of what? I don't know. Where the line comes off.
That's right. This is not a German Shepherd for it to look like a German Shepherd. It's about performance.
It's about performance. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, let's have a look at some of the hens.
They're the hens. We'll have a look at the boys.
Sorry, we'll have a look at the boys, the cocks.
Yeah. I'll grab him because I just seen him there.
What we got here?
Okay, this checker cock, I won the Phillip Island this year.
Not many birds home on the day.
There wasn't many home on the day, and she was on her own. He was on his own, and so he topped the fed, and also he's a gold bander from a couple of years ago, so he's a 3-year-old cock.
I think there was only 2 birds at home, wasn't there?
Oh, no, that was from Tasmania, where Peter and Saywell got the 2.
Okay.
But this was from Phillip Island, the last.
And there wasn't many birds home.
There wasn't many home from that neither. And I was just standing in front of the loft, and he just come straight over my shoulder and went in. I didn't even see him coming.
And what velocity? Do you remember the velocity?
No, I think it was around about 1,300.
Yeah.
I'd have to have a look in my book.
And it was one of those low cloud steely days as well. I remember waiting for mine to come home. That never came.
Yeah, that never came. Yeah. So once again, he's out of the hen that won 3 races, the old hen that we first looked at. And he's another.
So he's a grandson. So even the grandchildren are producing.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you find that from your best breeders, does it come out in the cocks or the hens, or it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And Jeff, what percentage of the youngsters out of your best pairs go on to race well or breed well?
Oh, it's not a big percentage. I wouldn't say. Of course, obviously, by the time I breed 100 young'uns, and then 22-year-olds, 2 or 3-year-olds, the best ones at the end, I will breed a couple of young'uns out just to try them. And then a lot of it's trial and error.
Oops, sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, a lot of it's trial and error.
Yeah.
This checker cock there, he's getting on a bit now, and so this is his brother as well. These are all. This is the uncle of the one that we had before. Again, a lovely, good size pigeons. They're beautiful.
They are, aren't
they? And him and his brother, and I had to kill another brother, was too old. Another brother bred me gold band winner about 4 years ago, and yeah, and I think he's the, whether we can see that in that pupil in this pigeon. Let's see if we can see that pupil in this pigeon, which has that breeding bit that I like to see.
Yeah, just hold it there and we're zooming in. There we go. Yep, there we go for the eye sign fans.
Yeah.
And what is it about this eye that you like?
Inside the pupil, there's a circle that's in the pupil, but it's around the outside, but it's still in the pupil. It's not in the...
Right, we might need a magnifying glass.
Yeah,
but
you probably need a magnifying glass to see it. Yeah, you will. Yeah. But you need a magnifying glass to see that shade in there.
And if we could just go back, sorry to pester you there, Jeff. If out of your best pair, out of 6 youngsters, how many would you expect to win you a prize?
I expect the 6 of them to do well. They don't all win prizes, but I would expect all of them to be consistent.
Yeah.
If
that makes them a good pair, not so much winning, but being consistent.
That's right, consistent, and that's what I look at when I go through my books, my records. Good, consistent pigeons. They don't have to win a race or be out in front like that cock was. But as long as another cock, well, I'll grab the old cock himself. He's getting on a bit. He's getting on a bit now.
Yep.
But once again, he's Van Loon. Oh, we go.
Yep, we're good. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
He's a Van Loon as well.
So he's a Van Loon. He's getting on now. But what is he? 2010.
Right, and he's still filling?
And he's still filling, yeah. So he's the father of my national winner. He's the father of... I won the East Coast Classic this year from Eden as well. I got a terrific trap. She's in there, actually. Could have shown her. She won overall, Sydney, Newcastle, the whole lot. So he's bred an East Coast Classic winner, a national winner, and many other prizes.
Right. And so
he's got the different eye. He's got the yellow eye.
He's got the yellow.
Yeah.
There we go.
Within the Van Loon, more so on.
So that's a trait of the Van Loon, you'd say, the yellow.
Yeah, which my old ones had the yellow eye. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But the Van Loons do have the pearly eye. But
and Jeff, do you stop any of the youngsters and keep them for yearlings for the next year? And how far would you send them out?
I don't. I don't do. Yes, I do. I tell a lie. But then I won the Winona Boy Combine this year. He's a half sister to your hen, actually. In there. And I thought after the gold band, she took a prize in the gold band, and I thought, I'll keep you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's in the stock lot now as well. So yeah, if I'll select a few, and there's probably the old pencil cock on the floor there. He's never raced, and yet he's been mated to different good hens.
Yeah. And what made you keep him? That he's never been raced.
Well, I bought him off Paul Breeze when he was getting rid of him.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so they come back down out of Peter Clark's as well. Actually, the big hen of Peter's.
Oh, that's off the Carrington cock.
They are down through that side, yeah.
Yeah.
Off the Carrington, which is Tweddles, yeah. Yeah.
Right, and so do you send, you said, how far do you send a yearling? You'd send it all the way down to 600 Ks?
Yeah, that's where I like them all to go.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about consistency before.
Yes.
This cock's father, Davo, said to me, he said, if we had a bird of the year, for instance, the father of him would have won it. He was so consistent. But him himself, he was just consistent. He wasn't overly impressed, but he was there all the time, you know, like in the top 10 of my pigeons.
Yeah, always on time.
Always on time. And I thought, well, his father was such a good pigeon, I'll try him as well. And straight away, straight away. He bred me national winner and God knows what else. Yeah.
Jeff, would you get rid of a pigeon during the season if he's not staying in time with the birds? If he's from the family, from the good family, he's not in time, he's always late, him or her?
I do, yes.
Yeah, you get rid of them?
If I've got too many and there's too many there, I'll just nut a few. And I've made a mistake.
Yeah, you move them on.
I move them on.
In a nicer way.
In a nicer way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I made a big mistake one year.
Yep.
Was two cocks down out of what Davo called the Abba. He was a little skinny little cock that Davo gave me. He come home with his ring cut off. Davo said, just take him. I was up there. I was lucky to be there.
Yeah.
Anyway, after 5 races, I bred 4. 2 cocks were terrible. 2 hens weren't doing much. And I thought, bug you, you're gone. I pulled his head off. I used to be harder than those days, only 1 year in stock. If they didn't produce anything, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit softer these days. They'll get 2 years if they haven't produced anything. But anyway, I killed the cock. I killed this little cock that Davo gave me. The next week, one cock won. The week after, the other brother won. And I'm thinking, what have I done?
Jump the gun there. But, did his kids breed on?
Yes, they did. Yes,
yeah.
They did. They ended up bringing a union national with her. Yeah, a lot of good pigeons down out of it.
And Jeff, do you find from, let's say, a champion race bird, how far potent is it down the line? Is it, the children produce, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, or when do you find it stops?
Well, if down the line and there's nothing coming out of them, well, then they've got to go. That's why I probably only got 4 breeding lines in here. If you bring another pigeon out that doesn't perform, and then you put it to another hen that doesn't perform, then all of a sudden you could be in trouble. You could be crossing in pigeons that you don't really need, you don't want. So they've got to perform straight away.
Yeah, not to ruin the gene pool of the family.
The family, yes.
Yeah.
You're crossing in bad gene.
Yeah. So what you're sort of saying there is they'll keep on breeding on as long as you don't ruin it by bringing in the wrong crosses.
That's right, yeah.
So the potent birds just go on, which is probably evident because you and Peter have a family that's like 40 years old.
Yes.
And winning.
And winning, yes, yeah. So I don't inbreed close, but there's a lot of line breeding going on in there.
Right. And what's the closest you'd breed? Would you breed half brothers, half sisters?
I bred half brother and sister years ago, and I won the union national with a blue bar pied hen. But I found that I don't like being too close. I just like maybe cousins or on a cock side line.
Yeah.
With a couple of crosses.
Yeah. So as long as that cock's in the pedigree somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I probably haven't persevered enough, maybe, and just said, all right, the old cock with his daughter with a national hen probably should go to him, and maybe just keep something on that line. That's if I was going to do something, it'd have to be good.
Because he's getting old now, isn't he?
Because he's getting old. And he still filled last year, but if I put his daughter, the national winner, she's bred me Georgie Premier Stakes, Georgie Sale Pigeon. The Young Bird Derby, won the Young Bird National with them. So the line's there, and I've got another brother to him as well, and he's not quite as old, which is this blue.
Just over here. Another Van Loon, is it?
Another Van Loon, yeah.
Yeah, there you go, guys, the Van Loons. Don't forget, sign up to Hop Auctions. We've got some great Van Loons coming up down from Paul Gibbs, who have one down here on the South Coast. So the birds from Paul do have what it takes.
This is my national winner, Sparkle. My granddaughter named her that. And I just want to show you the width of the flights. The last four flights, they're all just a natural, not too wide and not too skinny. They're just a good width on the wing.
And that's what you look for.
And that's what I look for. Yeah.
Ship.
She's got the yellow eye like her father. We had a look at her father earlier.
And what's she down from?
She's Van Loon, Pommy and Tweddle.
Right.
She's got no, that's virtually what she is.
She's performance is what she is.
Oh, yeah, she was too.
Yeah, she's not a paper tiger.
She was a terrific pigeon. Yeah, she come on her own as well off the south, behind them all.
Yep.
And she's bred a lot of good pigeons too for me, which is even more important as well.
And that's the anomaly of nature we're trying to breed. Pigeons are flock animals, and we need them to break out and fly on their own.
That's right. Yeah. The smart pigeons, they don't like leaving the mob, but the good ones will. The good ones will come on their own.
Do you do anything for motivation?
Not really. It's only the perch and to me that they're flying to.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yep.
Okay, and one final question, Jeff, before we call it a day for today. Thanks for showing us around. And the final question is, if you were going to write a book on pigeons, what would be the title?
I don't know. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. You heard it. Like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.